I am Dr. Gilbert. I am working as consultant in ICMR NIE. So the topic for today's this particular session is sources of literature. So at the end of the session, we will be able to understand the difference between the basic terminologies such as website, database, and search engine. We will also go through the different sources which are available for searching relevant information to conduct a systematic review. We will also briefly go through the principles of searching an electronic database, which is the most common form of searching while doing a systematic review. So we are progressing through the steps of the systematic review. As you can see, we have reached the third step of actually conducting a literature search. So before going for a literature search, we need to identify the sources from where we are going to perform our literature search. So even before we progress into the topic, let's understand something about these terminologies so that we will be clear during the course of the presentation. So how do we explain these three terminologies? Website, a search engine, and a database. So website, as we all know, we have been commonly browsing through multiple websites. It's a location in the web where information resources or a search engine or a database is located. So this is identified by a domain name, usually starting with www.dentaltoday.com or whatever it is. So this contains information in the web. So this is an example. So I go and search for the endodontic procedural failures in the Google search, and then it takes me to a website and it gives information pertaining to this particular content online. Then what is a search engine? Search engine is a tool which does the function of searching the web or a particular website or a database. So it is simply to identify information which is already located inside the website or a database. As we are all aware, the most common search engine what we use in our day-to-day practice is Google. So you search for any terminologies or keyword in the Google, it gives you the results within a fraction of the second. Here I have searched for an example of gingivitis, and you can see we have already reached around 10 million results in less than a second. So there is a similar kind of search engine. Again, most of you would be aware of this, Google Scholar. And I have tried to search the same keyword, gingivitis, in the Google Scholar. And you can see we have reached only about 1/50th of the search results what we obtained from the Google. So the search engines can be either a generic form like Google, Bing, etc. Or it could be a specified search engine which searches only the specified content within a particular database or a website. So Google Scholar filters out information and gives us only scholarly literature which is available. And these results from Google Scholar are usually results from the scientific research and from the websites of academic publications. Whereas Google searches the entire web and gives us a load of information from sources throughout the web. So the last part is database. So what is a database? It is a collection of data which is organized in a specified manner. So the easiest example would be either a telephone directory or a library where the contents are arranged in a specified manner. So similarly, medical database will organize and arrange information like journal articles, textbooks, protocols. So whatever is the content, they are organized in a particular way and then they are indexed and arranged within a database. So there are so many databases we are already familiar with. We have come across these terms: PubMed, Embase, Cochrane. So we'll see the entire list of databases in the future slides. So once we are clear with what is a search engine, what is a database, and what is a website, so we will move on to the goals of performing a literature search. So when we are interested to do a systematic review, so we are moving into the focused topic. We want to identify studies which meet the inclusion and exclusion criteria, and we want to narrow down and collect the pool of studies which is going to address our research question. So in order to achieve this objective or goal, we are going to do a literature search. So we want our search to be comprehensive. By comprehensive, we mean I would like to include all the information which is currently available pertaining to the topic of interest. Hence, I need to include all the terminologies which is relevant to my research question. Also, I need to search in multiple databases so that I am able to get as much information as possible throughout my search. So I need to be comprehensive about my search, and I also need to give consideration for the gray literature. So we will see more about gray literature. And also we need to look for unpublished studies. So these unpublished studies are protocols of ongoing trials or reviews. So this will add on to information pertaining to the research question, which is of our main interest. So let's say if we have already gone through the finding a research question and fixing our inclusion and exclusion criteria. So let's take the same example of finding the prevalence of dental caries among children. So if this is our research question, what are the sources which we would consider for doing a systematic review? So please think about it. So I would go with these options, not in any specific order, but if I had to do a systematic review on this topic, I would talk to my friends, seniors, my professors, and then I would look for subject specific journals which would publish articles specifically on dental caries, and then I would like to go to the particular archives of that particular journals, and then I would try to search for articles which report on dental caries. So nowadays most of the journal websites also have an embedded search engine which makes it easy to search within a journal website. So if a particular journal, let's say Journal of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery, so this journal is going to give relevant content about the oral surgery topics. So I would search for that particular journal. Or I would, let's say I get a number of key articles or articles which directly reflect my research question. So I would go through the bibliographics or the reference given in those articles, and then I would try to go back and look for the articles from the reference section. So this is called cross-referencing. So I would get relevant articles from the key articles which I obtained from the initial search. Or the most commonest thing or most commonly done is search through an electronic database. So most of the journals and published literature are indexed and organized into electronic databases, and this will give you a comprehensive search rather than going to a specific journal website and then searching for the particular journal for the content. We can go through the electronic databases, which is a collection of information from many sources, and they are organized and indexed into a electronic database. Fourth is the gray literature. So what is this gray literature? So gray literature refers to any unpublished data, but it has originated from the academic or business or government or industrial print. So these are basically nothing but our thesis or dissertations which has been submitted to the universities but is not yet published. Or it could be a conference abstract what we have submitted and presented, but we have not made the full text or the final publication of the content. Or it could be reports from the research agencies or organizations or governmental reports which contain some information pertaining to our topic of interest, but these are not published through a commercial publisher. So this is an important content which usually gets missed while doing a systematic review, because we usually tend to limit our searches to the organized and published literature, either through electronic database or through journal articles. But this gray literature tends to be ignored or left out while doing a systematic review. So we should try to include this as much as possible by trying to search in specific portals and interfaces which contain information on this grey literature. However, we need to be cautious that unpublished published manuscripts go through a rigorous peer review process. This grey literature is devoid of such advantage. So we need to be cautious about the data which we obtain through these searches. And the final point is experts in the field. So let's know that a particular person is an expert in a particular topic and he has contributed to the tobacco cancers or tobacco related cancers. So we would tend to search articles published by that particular author so that we get the relevant information in the pertaining to our research question. So this will also be one of the sources. So the most commonly done is a search through the electronic database. So I will take you through the. So these are the online information retrieval portals. So we would have heard this term somehow or the other: PubMed, Google, Ovid, Scopus. So all these things are available, but we are always confused which source to look for while doing a systematic review or even to get information on a particular topic. So I had initially brought out the difference between a search engine and a database. So what you can see on the lower half is the database which contains information organized and then indexed, and the top part of the slide contains the search tools or the search engines through which we can access these databases to get the relevant information. For example, through PubMed, you can search the Medline database. We can also access the NCBI bookshelf and also PubMed Central articles, which are open access full text articles. This can be accessed through PubMed. The same Medline database can also be accessed through a Ovid interface, and Ovid also grants access to a number of other databases like Embase, PsycInfo, Cochrane, and so on. So CINAHL database can be accessed through EBSCO search platforms. So the take-home message is we need to access multiple databases through different search engines. So which database should we look for? So each of these databases have their own topics of interest. For example, PubMed covers all aspects of clinical and laboratory medicines, biomedicine, and health sciences. So most of our searches, we will we will include PubMed as one of the literature source. Then Embase is the European equivalent of PubMed. So most of the European journals are indexed with Embase, and it is also good for drug monographs and pharmacological related systematic reviews. Also, conference abstracts are indexed as part of the Embase database. So these are the two commonly used one, PubMed and Embase. The others are subject specific. For example, CINAHL database is for nursing, midwifery, and allied health sciences. Web of Science not only includes science but also social sciences, humanities, arts, and Cochrane Library specifically focuses on systematic reviews and trial. So depending on our research question and our need, we need to choose the database. There are also other databases like Scopus, PsycInfo, ERIC. So again, these are all subject-specific databases. So if someone is working in education or medical education technologies, they need to look for the studies in the ERIC database. Someone is interested to do toxicological studies or toxicity of drugs, then they need to refer to the ToxNet. So unless our research question warrants that particular database, we are not interested to search these specified databases. One point to consider while choosing the database is whether it's an open access database or a subscription based database. So open access database is freely available to the users, and they need not have a subscription in order to access the contents of the search or to download the bibliographic information. So the commonly available open access database are PubMed and Cochrane. So these are the freely available in India. And most other databases like Scopus, Embase, PsycInfo, all these things require a institutional or individual subscription, and this subscription can cost you a fortune. So again, that becomes one of the limitation of choosing the relevant database while performing a systematic review. So how do I decide? So let's say I have a topic to do a systematic review for identifying the effectiveness of nurse-led tobacco cessation interventions. So if this is my topic, so I am going to work on tobacco cessation, and the intervention has to be given by a nurse or a staff nurse or an ANM. So if that is the case, then I need to look for multiple databases. So let's imagine that the highlighted part, the highlighted circle in the center represents the topic of our interest. So this is the pool of articles which actually meet my inclusion and exclusion criteria for dealing with my research question. So when I perform a search, I may get a part of the articles from the PubMed search engine, a part of my articles from Embase database, and partly from the CINAHL database. You can also see there is a small part which is not covered by even all the three databases, which gets missed. Some of the article either in the form of a gray literature, it gets missed from these searches. So if we want to include these articles, all the relevant information pertaining to our research question, we should try to choose several sources so that we comprehensively look for the evidence whatever is available currently. So this is just a screenshot to just get you familiar with the PubMed interface. You can see again more about this will be said in the post-lunch session, where we actually walk you through the search, how to build a search strategy in PubMed. So this is another database. It's an Embase which requires subscription. So most of you may not be having the access to this, but this looks something similar to the PubMed. And so I will also briefly touch upon the principles of performing a search. So the first principle is to use a controlled vocabulary. So when we are trying to search a particular database about a particular research question, we would use the keywords. For example, if our research question is to find the prevalence of dental caries among children, so our keywords would be dental caries or tooth decay. The other keywords would be children, and the other keyword may be a prevalence. So if these are the keywords, we need to search for these keywords into the search engine. So one way is to directly type in the keyword into the search engine, which is a PubMed or the Embase, and then it is going to give you a list of results for the particular keyword. Then what is this controlled vocabulary? So this controlled vocabulary is nothing but a hierarchically structured, and it is used for indexing the articles in the database. So initially I was telling that database contains data which is organized in a specified formats. So the journal articles which are published in different journals are indexed, or they are attached to a particular topic manually, and there are people doing this in the background. So a particular topic will be indexed to its mesh term or a M-tree term. So the mesh term is used in the PubMed database, and the M-tree is used for the Embase database. So this allows the reviewers to retrieve articles which use a different keyword other than what is used for indexing. So let's say some particular author has used white plaque to denote dental caries, or some other authors have used tooth decay, which means the same as a dental caries, or a dental decay, which again means a dental caries. So any of these terminologies, the authors mean the same thing, which is the dental caries, but different people will tend to use different keywords. So what people do while indexing the articles is they identify the relevant terms or the synonyms of this particular term, and they will try to have a single word which is called the mesh term, and they will try to attach all these articles which report on the tooth decay or the dental decay or the white plaque. All these things will be indexed under the same mesh term, which is the dental caries. So this is called a controlled vocabulary. So what happens when we search the articles based on the controlled vocabulary, even relevant articles or synonyms of the particular key term will also be reflected in our search. So again, this will be demonstrated in the afternoon session. So there is a database or a search engine specifically for identifying the mesh terms. So this database is mesh.nlm. So like PubMed, this is also a website. It's meshb.nlm. So if you go through the particular website, it takes you to a search engine. So you can enter the term dental decay. So I am interested to find the dental decay. So I want to know what is the mesh term for this particular term. So I enter the term and I search by exact match. And then it gives me a result like this. So this shows that the mesh term for dental decay is dental caries. So I would use the term dental caries in my future search so that all relevant articles, whichever way the published author has written in this particular individual article, all these things will get indexed under the term dental caries. So you can see the entry terms in the lower half. You can see the entry terms: caries dental, caries dentin, caries lesions. So in whatever way the individual authors have published in their articles, all these things will be indexed under the same terminology called dental caries. This is the use of using a controlled vocabulary, and mesh is one of the controlled vocabulary used in PubMed. The second principle is to use a field search. So what is this field search? We are searching for the key terms. The key terms could be dental caries or children or prevalence. So where do we want these key terms to be present in the database? You want the key terms to be present in the title of the article, or you want the key terms to be present in the title or abstract, or you want to search the articles published by a particular author. Let's say you want to search for a particular author. So you want to search that particular key term in a specified field. So you can see the list of fields. So it could be the author, or it could be the issue or the journal name, or a mesh term, or it could be the title or abstract. So it gives a endless list of fields. So these key terms will be specifically searched in that particular field within the database. So this will help us to narrow down on our search by using the appropriate field. Otherwise, if you don't specify the field, it will look for articles which contain this term anywhere in the article. Let's say if some other article has mentioned dental caries as a discussion point, that particular article may not be directly relevant to our research question. Still, that particular article will be picked up because the dental caries term appears in the last line of the discussion. Still, that article will be reflected in our search. So if you want to avoid those things, then we need to make a field specific search either in the title or abstract or the mesh term. So if the particular term is mentioned in the title or abstract, it is very likely that that particular article talks about that particular key term. So this is one advantage of using a field search. So this is the third principle. It's called Boolean operators. So when we are building a search strategy, so we are having multiple key terms. These key terms will usually correspond to the PICO format. So we need to specify the population, intervention, comparator, and the outcome. So while building a search strategy, again we need to pay focus to the particular PICO format, and we need to take into account all the components of the PICO. So there are three Boolean operators: the OR function, the AND function, and the NOT function. So this OR function, the example what I have used is green tea mouthwashes or dental plaque. So let's say the first circle on the left side denotes all the articles which talk about green tea mouthwashes, and the right circle talks about the articles which speak on dental plaques. So if I use a OR function in between these two key terms, it includes articles which speak both about green tea mouthwashes as well as about the dental plaque. So you can see there are some articles which only talk about green tea mouthwashes but not about dental plaque, and there are also articles which talk about dental plaque but not about green tea mouthwashes. All this will be reflected in the search when we use a OR term. Instead, if you use an AND function between the two keywords like green tea mouthwashes and dental plaque, So it is only going to show you those articles which contain information about both green tea mouthwashes as well as dental plaque. So the particular article which is shown in the results should have information about both the key terms on the same article. Only then it will be reflected in the search. So this is the intersection part between the green tea mouthwashes and the dental plaque. Only those articles will be shown in the search. The last part is I want to find articles about green tea mouthwashes, but it should not be for the treatment for dental plaque. It is for some other purpose. I want to exclude articles which see the utility of green tea mouthwashes but not on dental plaques. So you want to exclude articles specifically which are looking at the dental plaques. So what happens? It just removes the intersection part and then displays the result of those articles which contain information only about which contains information only about green tea mouthwashes and not the dental plaques. So using these Boolean operators, we will be able to expand or narrow down on our searches depending on our research question. So whenever we have multiple terminologies or keywords and you want to include all the outcomes in the same search strategy, we'll usually use R. But if you're going to include two interventions and you want both the interventions to be present in the same article, then we will try to use the function hand. And more about this we will see in the practical demonstration during the afternoon session, where we will try to build a search strategy specifically for the research questions what we have been already seeing from the morning. Want to find the prevalence of dental caries, and then about the therapy of green tea mouthwashes on dental plaque. So there we will be able to understand more about the Boolean operators, how the search results or the number of results which is shown gets affected depending upon the operators what we use. So to conclude, so initially we began with the description of a website, database, and search engine. What is the difference between the three components, and then we also had a goal of searching literature. We wanted our search to be as broad as possible and more as sensitive to collect all available literature. We also saw about including gray literature and unpublished literature. We went through the different sources of information retrieval for a systematic review. We saw about the search engines, the paid subscription based and the free open access search engines. And we also saw the principles of searching, namely the Boolean operators, the field searches, and the control vocabulary. That's it for the presentation.